Test, test. Let us know if you can hear us.
How's it going, everybody? This is John Paul up here. We are in the office. I've got Alyssa, Lisa, Allie, Lazaya, and Phil all here. Social distancing as much as we can. This is the third edition of our Tech Tuesday. If you guys have been joining us in the past, we've had who? Who was our first one? We had Michael and Lazaya for passing. We've been through Adam and Lisa for attacking. This week we're going to cover setting with Ali Butcher and Lisa Shad. They'll be up to come. Uh, Before we end this call, I've got some news to share with everybody. For Friday, we're going to have a special little event for our club. That's going to take place from 2:45 to 3:15. So keep your calendars open on Friday from 2:45 to 3:15. And after we're done here today, I'll let you in on what we've got planned. So you'll get an email tonight from me with more information. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to Lisa and Allie, and let's talk a little setting here. Welcome everybody. I see you online here. Emma, Tracy, the Drocks are here. Emma Cottle, yep. Corbett's, Browns, everybody's popping on. That's good. Here you go, Allie. Take a seat.
What's up, Elevation Nation? This
Hey,
is Coach
guys.
Lisa.
Hey guys, this is Allie. We're excited to have you here for some setting. Waiting for a few more people to join. So just hang tight. So one of the questions we're going to get started with while we're waiting is, what do you think are some key fundamentals when it comes to being a setter?
I see in here Kelly Drock. That's Hannah there. Emma Keller. What's up, Emma?
Kate just joined. Gabby. Kendall.
Hey, Aaron Gonzalez. Hope you guys are doing some stuff at home. Hey, Bailey. Hi, Kate. I know you guys are working hard at home. You guys are some setter junkies. You like working that setting ball against the wall, that's for sure. Keep that up.
Good, Caitlin Brown. Good footwork. Yep. Footwork, something that Lisa and I have been talking about already today, about how important that is for our setters, and how it's not sometimes the most exciting thing, but things that we want to make sure we're doing a lot of reps of. Good. Hands angled. Neutral spine. Emma, good. Like to see that you're taking some of the things we talked about in positionals.
Can't get enough footwork. That's one thing that you're going to hear if you're a setter, or even if you are a libero that uses their hands, or defensive player that uses your hands. Footwork, footwork. You're going to get some good balance with your footwork, getting to the ball before it gets to you, beating it, not meeting it. You're going to hear footwork until you're done playing volleyball, which could maybe be never. I've seen some senior games at nationals. You play on a little lower net there. So you'll be doing footwork until then.
Coach Riley with a great comment of reacting to the ball off the passer's platforms. We see a lot of times some of our athletes reacting prior to seeing the ball. So again, utilizing footwork and reacting to that. Good, Emma, staying open to the court. That's another thing that we're going to kind of focus in on here.
I love all of you guys commenting. Keep that up. Keep the comments going. We want to make sure that we're connecting with you, and making sure we get you the right information here too. And I just want you guys to feel vulnerable to ask us questions when you can. Um, when you're a setter, being left-handed or right-handed, it really is a good thing for both. Lefties have an advantage with dumping maybe, but righties have an advantage with one hand setting. They have to set with their right hand, possibly on a tight ball. So your footwork is the same if you're left-handed or right-handed, but there are advantages to both.
Yeah, absolutely. There's a good comment here by, let's see, getting squared. That's a good one. Reading your blockers. Yeah, so we're going to go ahead and get started here. We're going to look at some of the stuff that we sent to you guys from a homework standpoint from Logan. So you can see here we're talking to her about, the spacing of her hands and how we want to find that consistency. One thing we want to make sure we're doing is getting all of our hands on the ball, relaxed wrists here, keeping that C shape. So we're here looking at Logan. She's doing a good job of getting all 10 fingers on the ball. One thing we would like to see a little bit more of is a little bit more flexion with her wrists, but Logan's been so strong and been able to really push that ball out to her pins. Again, you'll see here, we were talking, you guys made comments about good posture and a neutral spine. Here we want to keep Logan in that neutral position, maybe contact the ball a little bit higher, especially if we're taking that one-hand set and bringing it off the net. You really got to work to reach for that, bring it off for your hitters.
I saw a comment earlier in our post of a name, a blast from the past, Jenna Hagland. What Logan is doing really well here reminded me of Jenna. You have to let that ball go in your fingers a little bit. They're not setting with the tips of their fingers. So I remember when Jenna Hagland used to set in club, and she would tape her fingers up a little bit, and I'd ask her to feel the ball where the tape was down in that finger knuckle, so that ball would settle in her hands just a little bit more instead of hitting it like forks. That's what we call poking it with your fingers. So I think the Logan does a really good job with letting that ball settle in her hands a little bit.
Yeah, absolutely. Just making sure, can you guys hear us? I know people were saying they were only hearing some music, so just want to make sure that you guys can hear us.
Yeah, because they're still commenting on the other stuff. Yeah, Hannah, way to turn your volume all the way up.
All right, so while we're on this little bit of a pause, we want to ask you guys, does anybody know who the setter for or setters are for the USA team?
Comment if you know who the setters are for the USA national team. Huh? Oh, okay.
Some other really good comments that we saw. Avery Taylor, I love that you said earlier, keep using your legs when you're trying to push the ball. That's a really important thing that we'll talk about with our younger setters, you know, as they're still working to build their core strength to use to push the ball out to either pin.
What a great question that Allie has is knowing who your USA setters are. Sometimes we don't watch our national team enough, but it's a really good way of seeing things done perfectly and simple. They do a lot of simple things perfect, and I think it's great when our kids can watch the national team do these simple things perfect, and watching the setters, not where the hitter's hitting, or not the big dig, but watching how the setter reacts, her footwork, location of her hands, and just her court awareness. I think it's really good for setters to get that modeled for them. So if you have time, pop on a national team YouTube video or something just to watch our USA national team setters.
Yeah. Good job, Kaylee. Carlini, that is correct. The other thing that to build off of what Lisa said is, you know, they just do the fundamental things. They just do the simple things right. So we see a lot of times we're going into emergency moves and it's not necessary. So again, like Lisa said, keep working to reach out and watch that film. There's tons of it on YouTube that you can log into and just kind of pick away and look at all those things, even from other positionals to kind of build off of. So it seems like everybody can hear us, so we're going to go ahead and continue. You can see Logan, she's on a physio ball here, so this is another way that we can work to build on core strength, which is, again, going to be really important when we work to jump set. So you can see here Peyton is going to jump set. One of the things we would like to see her do a better job of, she does a pretty good job off the bat, is stay open to the court, keeping her hips wide, welcoming that ball into her, One thing is she does get her feet backwards, so she has her left foot forward. So what do you guys think that means? If she gets her left foot forward, what's that going to mean for our hitters?
And again, we've been talking about whether you're left-handed or right-handed. We're doing the same footwork both ways. There's just advantages to both. Again, a lefty could probably dump a ball a little better. A right-handed person might be able to set off of one hand to their middle on a tight pass or tight dig better. But the footwork, the feet are the same. What was your question again, Allie?
So the question is, what can we do to build on so what is Peyton doing with her feet right now? Her feet are backwards, so how should her feet be? Yep. So if she does a better job of keeping her hips open, keeping her back to the net, she's able to bring that ball off. So yeah, you guys are right. The ball would be tight. So my bad. If she has her feet backwards, the ball will end up being setting tight. So we want to work to make sure that her right foot is forward, her hips stay a little bit open. We want to, like Lisa and Adam were talking last week, we want to make sure that our hitters have the opportunity to take that full swing, not too tight to the net. So we like to err we want to put the ball anywhere from 3 to 5 feet off the net, so our hitters have the ability to swing. So we'll again keep watching Peyton here. Keep working to get your feet to the ball. She's kind of jumping into that, so we want to keep working to get our feet all the way there and then go up, nice and controlled. That's a good one there by Peyton.
Good left, right. Good left, good balance landing.
Yeah, Peyton, you got it right with Jordan, Poulter, and Lauren Carlini. Good job. Keep working to get to the net quickly. Don't time it. So like Coach Riley was saying earlier, you want to watch the ball come off the platform, but the earlier you can get to the net, the easier it is to make that read and react.
Yeah, I'd still love to see Peyton's feet getting to the ball a little quicker here so she's not meeting it. Her symmetry looks good with her arms, but again, that footwork has to be cleaner with that right foot maybe slightly forward.
So now we're getting in here, we're looking at some film that we had from early into positionals. Again, working for the girls to stay open and set that 31 B ball. One thing that I notice is that we're dropping our hands with a lot of these. So just because we're trying to take the ball into a faster set doesn't necessarily mean that we want to drop our hands, right? We want to make sure that we're staying in that neutral position, neutral spine. Audrey does a pretty good job here of taking a nice high point of contact. That's a good ball by Lindsay. Again, a little bit of a drop. Carmen does a good job there. Again, nice high point of contact. Get to the net early. It's a good set by Bailey. Want to see a little bit more fluidity. So sometimes what we do is we see the ball, our setters are kind of pushing backwards and falling away. Again, keep working to engage that core, left, right, into the ball. One question that I have for you guys is, in talking about this, why wouldn't we want our setters to drop their hands on their set?
I think that's interesting. A lot of times you'll see we talk about first story, second story, maybe the third story is the attic of your hands. We don't want that third story because there's no fluidity. Your elbows are straight locked. You're setting from the attic. When we set in the second story, we like that a lot, don't you think, Allie?
Yeah.
I think the second story is a great place to live in. The first story may be your basement, and sometimes we let that ball drop too low. Sometimes coaches will say, she's lifting, but we all know officials aren't going to call those anymore. And sometimes I don't mind a little bit of a low set if you're trying to hold the blocker, but that's definitely not something that we coach. We usually like to coach and kind of sit in the second story with our hands. So back to Allie's comment of what does it mean when your hands are low and you're setting a lower ball? What's going to happen there? We see a few comments coming in.
Yeah, definitely some good comments here. You know, we want to, like Lisa said, there are times where you definitely will drop your hands, but if we want to stay consistent, especially as you get into the older game and you're working on deception, you want to try to take it in a more of a neutral position, like we've talked about before. That way we can reverse the flow if need be, or if it's in system, really working to hold that middle as they drive in, and then create that one-on-one situation. A lot of things that we will work to talk about on Thursday. Um, yeah, again, good job, Hannah. They can tell if you're going to go forward.
Mm-hmm.
So here we're seeing Reagan got to work to get to the net faster, keeping those hips open. A little off balance. Good, Lily. A little bit low there. Keep working to get your feet to ball like we talked about earlier. Peyton's doing a good job getting there quick and getting the ball out fast. See probably about 8 fingers setting the ball, thumbs out a little bit. Good. Yeah, if we had kept our hips open a little bit more and had seen that ball coming in a little bit tight, we could side set that ball. So again, just putting a lot of emphasis on taking that U shape and really rounding um, into the set, welcoming that ball.
One quality from a setter that I really like, that I see in quite a few of our setters, we're very quick. We're very fast when we're running sprints. A lot of our setters will win sprint drills. However, it also needs to translate in beating the ball instead of meeting it. We want to get there and wait for that ball to come down on our head. So getting there as quick as you can is possible with the speed we have in our setters. I think Lily and Peyton are extremely fast. Haven't seen Reagan in a sprint situation yet, but I know these two are really fast, and I think it'd be really nice to see them getting there a little quicker.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Again, we know that Coach Crofton likes to run that fast tempo, so them getting to the net is going to be, even that extra step to the net is going to be even more important as they keep the tempo. And then again, working to build on that as they continue to become at a next level.
These three girls are doing a really good job, I think, at seeing 10 fingers. Sometimes I know Peyton loses her thumbs a little bit. Those thumbs kind of peek out. But I know that they're really working on seeing 10 fingers there. I see Reagan does a good job with seeing 10 fingers. All of those fingers are extended upon that release. Big ball-shaped hands.
Good. A lot of good wrist flexion here too, I feel like. Again, that's going to be really important when you're wanting to run more of that tempo ball.
When we talk about tempo is the height and speed of the set. So a lot of our teams have tempo style offenses where they may be a little bit quicker. Maybe you're running a higher ball that has less tempo on it. It really depends on your team and what your team needs. And neither of them are bad, but we will talk about tempo a lot and the speed of that set, whether it's a quick one ball or maybe it's a loopy one ball. The faster the tempo, the faster the hitter has to be ready. And you have to have better connection with your hitters and your setters when running a quicker tempo offense. But sometimes it's not a good thing. Sometimes you want your big athletic kids just to go up and hit a big high ball. I've seen a couple college teams in the Sweet 16 set their middles a 1.5, maybe even a 2 because they had some big 10-5 touchers, they'd go up and let them nail that.
I think building on what Lisa's saying, it's all about that connection and that relationship that you can have with your teammates. The better your relationship, the easier it becomes of just kind of finding them and feeling that tempo, more or less. Now we're looking at an emergency move. So we're having McKenna come off the net. She does a good job starting with her left, right. We want her to sink down. So even if that ball's coming low, working to get underneath it, keep that neutral position, and fire that ball into that hitter window. So she's doing a good job. A little bit of an extra push with her left hand, but again, she's doing a really nice job.
Hey, I don't know if you guys are doing the same thing that Allie is doing, but this is like what a setter does. When you're talking about setting, you start using your hands to describe what you're doing. So if you guys were in the office with us, you would be seeing her setting the ball right now, and maybe some of you are sitting there on your floor or whatever, and you have a volleyball in your hand, and you're just kind of flicking it around or making your hands in ball shape. That's kind of what a setter does, because it's just how they are. It's just a part of them. So I have a feeling some of you are out there in your homes right now, being virtual setters.
That's a good thing. That means you listened in positionals. We talked about having a ball in your hands and working on your wrists and all that stuff. So, we've had a question here about how do I fix, having fixed wrists. It's again putting a ball in your hand while you're sitting here listening to us talk and just palming on both sides and working on putting that ball back and forth, gaining that flexion. It's all about muscle memory. So again, doing more footwork and getting that down. The more consistent you can do it, the easier it becomes. It becomes second nature once you're in, real life play, whether it's at practice or in a match. I think you can be your biggest critic. So when we sent that homework out and you're bouncing the ball and you're catching to see if you're in good posture, am I left, right? Where is that ball? Is it on the first, second, or third floor, like stories
yeah.
Like you were saying, Lisa, like where is it? Be critical of yourself. Time is something that we all have right now, so this is the time to get better at those little things, and that can take you a long way when you come back on the court. And it's definitely things we want to see from you guys. So
yeah, a setter definitely has to have the mentality to pound the stone. Like pounding that stone over and over and over with footwork and handwork is something very critical. If you don't have that patience, then you definitely aren't on the setting realm.
Yeah, right. And that's something that we're going to talk a lot about on Thursday too. Is different ways that you can create that mentality, and how do you become kind of addicted to the game, like going and watching film and seeing, okay, this was the set I made, and yes, we were successful, but what was another option? Could I have pushed my middle in this situation? Adam and Lisa talked a lot last week about high risk, high reward. How can we implement that a little bit more in our setting? And I don't want to go away from what coaches are teaching and different things, especially at the younger level. But sometimes we get caught and we go for a passing set. Well, we teach you guys to do a better job of kind of pushing that and using your hands a little bit more. So how are we able to do that stuff? It's kind of what I think we'll work a little bit more on. This last clip that we're going to show is of Reagan Smith of the 11s team. She does a great job of using her legs, like Avery talked about earlier. She has a good window. Love seeing this extra work at home. Good job. Pushed a nice high set. I'm sure a lot of you hitters would love to go chase that ball down for sure. So, that's kind of the end of what we have for clips. We want to open it up for questions for you guys, so feel free to start firing them our way. We'd be happy to answer them for you. Oh, Lisa's got jokes.
I love that. What's her name again?
Reagan.
Reagan's doing a good job with her footwork, over and over and over.
Yeah.
And her brother is so nice to go out there and help her. Was that her brother? I would think.
I would think so.
Yeah. You don't have to have somebody helping you, but it is kind of nice to have somebody help you, especially if you only have one ball at home. I've seen some of you guys have setter's eyes at home these days.
Yeah.
You definitely don't need one, but a wall would be nice, and I'm sure all of you have house walls.
Yeah, right. That or you can use the garage door roof if you have a roof, and it can drop off, let it bounce, and then try to find it again. Different ways. Again, feel free to ask questions. Yeah, that's a tricky one to have soft hands when it's a super high ball. I know that's one that's a tough one. Just work to stay relaxed. Like, just work there. Use your legs. Try not to panic in that situation. I think that's the best way to answer that one. That one's a little tricky, but I can appreciate that for sure.
Allie, you were talking a little earlier about bump setting. Do you think you would like to see that on a highlight film if you were a coach looking at or a setter?
Personally, no. The more you can use your hands and the more athletic you can prove to be is something I would really enjoy seeing. So, we had a drill in positionals a couple weeks ago when we were in the gym, and we made the girls take the ball with their hands as they got pushed to zone 4, and they all panicked like, "Oh no, oh no, I don't know, I feel like I'm going to run into something." No, just work to be dynamic, drop to your knees, stay in that neutral position, try to get your hands on it. If you don't try it now, you're never going to try it. So stuff falling into your eyes from the roof, that could be bad. So
Um, who is that? Kaylee?
Kaylee.
Kaylee, you need to wear some goggles, girl. You gotta put your full Corona mask and goggles on.
Yeah. Riley talks about a setter mindset. So again, we'll touch more on this on Thursday, but like we were talking about earlier, it's just a mentality in terms of, how do you make those around you better? Like, what do you see as a setter for your hitters? Can you see a different shot for them when you're going to cover them? Like, they're continuing to go line, but we keep getting beat on the line. So do you see there's a roll shot that we can go for? Can they go more 4-to-4 in terms of you're hitting from zone 4 and you're going to attack to zone 4 on the other side? So what are some different ways that we can help our teammates out in that situation? Or from passing standpoint, like, hey guys, I really need your help to get the ball off the net because I need to push my middles, or I need to push the ball to the pin. They're trapping our middles a lot. Just different things, to be more of a coach on the court. Like, I think that's the biggest thing too, is the better you can be as a coach on the court, the easier it is for you to have that relationship even with your coach. We talked a lot about that relationship with your teammates, and then feeling free to go and bounce those ideas off with your coach. Like, it's great, this year Logan and I have had a good relationship, and seeing like, hey, I see this, she'll tell me what she sees in the game. That's so different from a sideline standpoint. I don't know if you see that kind of too. I just think that those are different ways you can build on that.
I think y'all setters are different breeds. I definitely think you have some qualities, some great qualities of being a good teammate and putting teammates first, because you are the one that's giving them the ball to get the kill. So you have to have a mentality to put your team first. And that's in doing everything. That's doing these workouts. Are you doing the workouts even when your teammates aren't? Are you looking up videos to get better even when your teammates aren't? A setter mentality would definitely it puts their teammate first, because they are the one that doesn't get the credit. The hitter gets the credit. And you have to give them that ball, and you have to take the fall sometimes, even when you set a good ball, and say, oh, my bad, I'll get you something different next time. So I think setters are very unique and very fortunate.
Lily, don't want to miss your question. I know you said when you're looking to see which way a middle is cheating, do you do it as you're running up? If you work to do a really good job of staying open, you can work to see out of that peripheral vision. So that's something we want to do a better job of. We've done in positionals, trying to have somebody on the opposite side. Can you read the number? If you see that middle cheating as you're kind of arcing with your back to the net, it's easy to see if they're jumping that way. I don't know. Do you have anything to add to that part?
No,
that's about it.
Yeah, I
So.
think this was good. I think I'm excited for Thursday now. Can't wait to see some of our stuff in action and get to talk about more strategic things with settings.
Thank you guys for listening. John Paul has one more thing he wants to add, so stay tuned.
Hi again, everybody. Thanks for tuning in. How many do we have? How many folks got online with us? Looks like we're at 100. All right. So good number, particularly for setting. Not everybody's going to be a setter, but you guys watching what's required of setters and appreciating what a setter does is always a good thing. So tuning into setting and knowing how to handle the ball with an open hand is a skill you got to learn anyway. That's where the game is right now. So this Friday, as a club, as many people as we can round up, I want you guys to make yourselves available for a Zoom call from 2:45 until 3:15 in the afternoon. We are going to, as a group, talk with Carrie Walsh Jennings. Those of you who know Carrie Walsh from the Olympics, professional beach volleyball player. She's a 3-time Olympic gold medalist. Had a few partners over her times, but before Carrie was a standout sand player, she was an unbelievable indoor player. I think she might have been a 4-time All-American. I know she was at least a 3-time All-American at Stanford, played in the Olympics as an indoor player as well. So we're going to be blessed with her presence, and so we'll all be online with her. We're going to ask her some questions. So carve out some space on Friday if you can, 2:45 to 3:15. What will happen is tonight you're going to get an email from me. It'll have a link to that meeting so you guys can get on there on Friday. We'll remind you guys on Thursday what's going on. You're also going to get not an application, but a questionnaire. Carrie Walsh is starting a company. It's already started called P1440. It is tied towards sand volleyball, but it deals with all types of volleyball, and she's just a big promoter of volleyball in general. So we're going to talk about all issues with volleyball with her for about a half an hour. But she's promoting her brand, which is 1440, and we're going to look at some of her stuff and see if we can't use that here in our building. So get a little relationship with her and her company. And if those guys that are seeing the sand volleyball side of things, if you're going down to play for Ohio Valley Beach, they'll be doing the same thing. So the tie-in with Ohio Valley Beach and Rob Long, a good friend of mine, will be a good thing for all of us. So we hope to continue that trend. So everybody, thanks for joining us tonight for the setting. We'll be back on Thursday for Thinking Thursday with Allie and Lisa. We'll watch a little film. We'll implement what we've been doing here, talk about the setter's role, and get a little bit more going. So thanks for joining us, and we will see you soon.